Hi guys, welcome back to the Astrology. Today we are continuing with our series of talking about Saturn's transit into the sign of Pisces, which is happening on 29th of March 2025. And Saturn is going to be positioned in this sign for the next 2.5 years, approximately until June 2027. It will move ahead into the sign of Aries, but it will get retrograde and come back again into the sign of Pisces in the same year. And that is why we say for roughly 2.5 years, Saturn is going to be in this sign itself. And yes, you can watch this video from a Virgo ascendant, rising, or Lagna standpoint, as well as from a Virgo moon perspective. Of course, when you're watching this video from a Virgo moon standpoint, you will have to derive the connotation more from a mental and emotional aspect of things. Whilst if you're watching this from a Virgo ascendant or rising perspective, you will see the derivations coming out of the physical manifestation, the physical realities that are going to be turning out for you in this reading. So, without further ado, folks, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the reading to understand what this movement is going to entail for you, what you've experienced with Saturn's position in the sign of Aquarius so far, and as it shifts from Aquarius into the sign of Pisces, what is in store for us. Saturn, which is the lord of your fifth and your sixth house, it has been stationed in your sixth house thus far for the last 2.5 years. In fact, prior to that, if we take into account the last 5 years duration, it has been traversing into your fifth and sixth. It's in its own signs. And it has been a much comfortable period for you folks. Why? Because what the sign of Virgo, when Saturn was placed into the sign of Aquarius, it was forming a very strong Shatru Hanta Yoga. Yes, sixth house is the house of challenges, turbulences, complexities, your daily regimen. It is the house of your job, your daily schedule, your divorce could also be seen from the sixth house itself. But it is essentially talking about loans, litigations, any kind of complexities coming into your life. And Saturn being a malefic, it is a fighter. It is the lord of your sixth house itself. So being stationed in the sixth house gave you the strength that even though all these challenges that were coming in your life, you had the audacity, you had the strength, you had the self belief to overcome all of those challenges. You had the self belief to encounter those problems. With being the lord of the fifth house, positioned in the sixth house, it was a very good period for you, Virgos, to undertake competitive situations. If you are a student watching this video, the last 2.5 years were fabulous for you in terms of appearing in competitive examinations, appearing situations that required you to get into any kind of a new job after finishing your graduation. And it seemed that everything should have fallen in place for you from that perspective. Also, it gives the ability for a person appear in challenging situations and do well, which means that the sixth lord was placed in the sixth house itself. You embarking on any kind of a job switch, any kind of interview situations where you had to prove your mettle, you would have displayed that confidence, that rigor, even in adverse situations. If you would have taken any kind of loans during this period, you were in a situation either to cure that loan or even go ahead and pay off the debt that was coming your way. Why? Because Saturn, yes, would have made you grind hard, but he would have made you grind hard to pay back for the challenges that are coming at your end, which is a good thing for Saturn to be placed in the sixth house from that perspective. Yes, there were some bit of trouble that also encountered your way because Saturn, from its third aspect, had a debilitated aspect to your eighth house, which meant that Virgos, especially from a Virgo moon perspective, you would have seen a lot of emotional stress, lot of pain, some kind of suddenness in terms of transformation would have also come to Virgos ascendant and rising as well in general. There could have been situations, especially at your work front, at your job front, where you would have seen that unexpected areas to prove your mettle, prove your strength would have come into play. Saturn is the lord of your fifth house. And moving into the eighth is not an easy situation from that perspective, too. So, if you're a parent as a Virgo watching this video, you would have realized that this has been the period which wasn't easy from your children perspective too. Any kind of speculative activities, any kind of speculation in terms of betting, in terms of gambling, stock market speculation, etc., would not have panned positively for you folks. Why? Because Saturn dislikes that sort of a behavior. He hates free money. He prefers a person to show their metal, slog hard for it, earn that income that has to come. And thereby, speculation is not something very exciting to Saturn. Now, don't get me wrong here. He's the lord of your fifth house, means that it brings creative pursuits, talent as well. And if you would have slogged hard, if you would have worked hard with your creative talent into situations, then that could have resulted into positive growth as well. But because a lot of us in this modern era tend to jump into situations, cater to outcomes with instant gratification, that is where this Saturn hasn't been helpful. But with the fifth lord coming into the eighth, it also showcases that many of you Virgos would have embarked upon getting into mantras, getting into chanting, getting into a space where you want to bring that spiritual energy of the right words, assimilate that within yourself, and empower you through that too. That's a positive connotation of the same movement or the same aspect of this Saturn. Now, the other difficult bit with Saturn's placement sitting in Aquarius was that not only was he giving a debilitated aspect to the eighth house, he was also giving an inimical aspect to the 12th. So not only you had known enemies, obstacles coming in your way, there were also situations of unknown enemies, unknown, unexpected problems also cornering you at every now and then. See, the problem is that the aspect was coming into eighth. There were already enough surprises coming your way. And to add to your woes, unexpected surprises, unexpected enemies from the 12th were also anticipated. And they did come and bother you for a while. However, the interesting part was that even though Saturn's third aspect was into the sign of Scorpio for you, but it was in the third house, which meant that you've shown some tremendous amount of transformation in the last 1.5 years with respect to your hard work. You've pulled up your socks, you've not taken that beating in a negative stride, you've ensured that whatever obstacles, whatever challenges were thrown at you, whatever problems that you were facing, you left no stone unturned from your side. Virgos, act upon it to face the challenge, to overcome the obstacles coming your way. And that has been the beauty. Yes, that aspect isn't the best. It's coming into the sign of Scorpio. But it also means that you've transformed your mindset, especially from a Virgo moon perspective. You've worked on your emotional aspect to tackle it, to take that battle head on. And this is going to be important, Virgos, for you because as this transit of Saturn extends into the sign of Pisces, he is going to be now landing into your seventh house. You must understand, Virgos, it is not completely bad. First and foremost, I want to call out the first positive. See, seventh house is a natural house of exaltation for Saturn. And he is coming into his natural sign of exaltation from a Kal Purush chart perspective for you folks. Yes, it is in a neutral relationship with Jupiter, with Pisces. So that thing has to be kept into mind. But you have to also understand that this becomes a beautiful movement for Saturn from that perspective because he's coming in a natural exaltation state. And now it's the fifth lord moving 3 places away into the seventh, or the sixth lord moving into the seventh house itself. First and foremost, you are definitely going to see an expansion, widening, broadening, or positive news coming in from a partnership standpoint. Whenever Saturn comes into the seventh house, he is going to bring an expansion there. And somebody had made a comment in the previous videos that Saturn is a restrictor. How come expansion? It tends to bring positive outcomes for the house it goes and gets placed in itself versus the aspects that he gives. So when he's coming into your seventh house, you will see growth with respect to your partnerships. And here, especially with respect to your personal relationships, your personal partnerships, or if I may say, from a marriage perspective, both from a Virgo moon as well as a Virgo rising perspective, that's a good news coming in for you guys. Why? Because in the fifth, Lord is making that 3 places away movement from itself into the seventh. You have some strong signals of finding the right partner, you taking measures, extra hard work, extra effort to actually culminating your existing romantic relationship into marriage. And that is the best news that will come into play. But at the same time, there's always a but, there is always a caveat when we're talking about Saturn. He is your sixth lord as well. So if you're already married or if you're already in relationships, sixth lord is coming into the seventh, which means problems, challenges, disputes, disagreements, divorce like situations, separation scenarios also are walking hand in hand into your seventh house. And that can be turbulent, that can be challenging. But before we jump into understanding that connotation for us, let's understand the fifth house connection. The fifth lord is making third movement into the sign of Pisces. And this is where the strength of Jupiter in your chart becomes extremely important. Not only from a transit perspective, but also from your natal chart perspective, you will have to do a deep dive before making any decisions of getting married. Many of you, by the way, will see a significant chance of getting married when Jupiter also gets an exaltation and gives an aspect back into the seventh house. So if you are watching this video from that particular angle, you might want to see and figure out how it's resonating both from a transit and natal chart perspective. And of course, please do consider matching your chart with your better half, with your partner. Now, since it's the third movement, it means you are going to take an effort by yourself towards gravitating towards moving in some positive direction to establish that relationship with a legitimate bond, which is seen through the institution of marriage. But it also means that you could leverage your creativity, you could leverage your smart behavior, calculative behavior in terms of triggering something as a startup, triggering something in terms of your entrepreneurial behavior to start new partnerships, to flourish new connections in the professional space too. And that is going to be one of the most positive outcomes that you can decipher from a career standpoint. Sticking to career, the Lord of Job is also moving second to itself into the seventh house, which brings or entails another positive outcome that your job is going to become all the more prominent during this period, and your hard efforts, your hard work are going to culminate into outcome for you. Now, that could be in the form of a promotion, that could be in the form of a increased paycheck, it could be you pursuing a new job opportunity in itself. So that's a positive movement from a career perspective, both for folks who are trying to run their own business, start any new enterprise, start any new startup, or for folks who are in job itself, looking forward to switch, looking forward to stick it out within the same enterprise, within the same company, but grow in terms of their careers. The other bit that you will observe is for your personal relationships, where the sixth lord coming into seventh could cause some challenges with respect to your marriage if you're already married. I'm not talking about people who are planning to get married, but ones who are already married. And one way to mitigate that problem is bring some level of discipline along with your partner. Start some daily schedule. You have to take a call instead of screwing up your relationship or facing challenges through the course of these 2.5 years. You must understand that doing any kind of joint daily regimen is an excellent remedy. It could be something as simple as waking up early and going out for a jog. It could be something as similar as motivating your partner to achieve, for them to achieve something in their career. Maybe they take up some competitive examination. Remember, sixth lord is coming to seventh. So competition has to come in the life of your partner. Help them, motivate them, inspire them to do something big. If that is not possible, associate along with them to do collective daily schedule. It could be as simple as taking a jog, maybe hitting the gym together, and if nothing, doing some sort of a travel to a nearby place of worship, to a temple, to a mosque, to a church, whatever religion and background you come from. Understand how that is going to transform. Why did I say the religious place as well? Because from the third aspect, he is looking at the ninth house, which is ruled by Venus in the sign of Taurus. And thereby, with such small activities, it's not that everybody is going to hit with a divorce with this transit, Virgos. So you have a beautiful thing brewing up for you, which could result into a better bond establishing for both of you. It's just that you have to play that pivot and work accordingly. You taking any joint loans together, you taking any kind of joint initiatives together with your spouse if you are married is a wise decision at this point in time than just being the ninja all by yourself. Please refrain from do that. Give due credit, due value, due partnership to your partner. That is what this Saturn is going to talk about. Democratize that partnership together in this relationship. Make her or him feel as equal as to how you are going to collectively work towards some goal, some objective. And that is where you will find that the bond, instead of facing issues, problems, loans, and litigations, will actually start flourishing. And Saturn will help you enjoy that during these 2.5 years. You don't need to do any remedy. You don't need to wear any stones. There's a lot of fear mongering which is happening all across YouTube in the astrology community. All you have to understand is you have to play to your strengths. Now, see, your Saturn is giving a third aspect into the ninth house, which means this is also going to be a period in the next 2.5 years where you guys are going to take some long trips together. Yes, there is a strong, high probability that those trips could be connected to some sort of a religious place, pilgrimages of some sort. That is a definitive possibility. But it is also probable that you might have to travel long distances related to work. You live in California, you have to travel to New York. It's a long distance travel. And it is probable that in such travels, you might want to tag along with your partner. You might say, babe, come along, let's spend 2 nights in New York whilst I'm doing my meetings. We are going to spend the evenings doing something else. Now, that is how you'll have to be planning. And there is a strong possibility you're going to do that. So many of you would be utilizing this joint travel together combined with your work association as well. All right. That is, or maybe it could be vice versa. Your wife, your husband could be traveling and you hop onto that journey. That's also possible, guys. Because at the end of the day, it's your ninth house, but the aspect is coming from your seventh. You understand that? So that is very much a possibility too. There is another thing that you're going to be facing during this transit duration in the next 2.5 years is that there will be some effort, there will be some extra energy that you will have to burn with respect to your superiors at work, with respect to your boss. He or she may not be easily pleased, and you might have to burn the midnight oil to be in their good books. Now, that doesn't mean acting for working long hours is going to help you. This is Saturn. So please understand, you will actually have to slog your ass off to ensure that you are able to create productive outcome in terms of reaching to their good books. But I will highly urge you that please do not bend on your belief system, especially if you're watching this from a Virgo moon standpoint. Stand for what you believe in. Have your moral compass high. If you feel there is something that is expected out of you which is not in alignment to your value system, you must take a stand. Your boss, your superiors, your company is going to respect you for that. Even if you are watching this as a student, as a homemaker, there could be situations where for your partner, the head of the household could be acting as a boss in that case. But if you feel stressed, if you feel overworked, you must share that experience with your family as well. For students, I don't have any respite, guys. The lot of competition is moving into the seventh. You have to work hard. There is no denying of that fact. If you've not been able to utilize last 2.5 years, you've missed the bus in a way. You had an excellent period going on. And still, the fact is that Saturn has come into Kendra. If your Jupiter is doing well, Saturn is doing well in your natal chart, this is another possibility before Saturn moves into the eighth. That is when you will be dependent completely on the Viparit Raj Yoga and Saturn will be in debilitation. So not one of the best situations. So guys, if you're students watching this video, this is your last window of 2.5 years to bulldoze into whatever you want to get selected, whatever you want to crack. Now, the Saturn is also giving an aspect into the Virgo sign, into your own first house itself. If you are watching from a moon perspective, onto your moon or onto your rising Lagna itself, and it's an important aspect because this Saturn is going to be giving a naturally debilitated aspect towards you. So please be open, expect some stress coming to your life. That's okay. There will be stressful situations. There will be situations where you could feel fearful, where you could feel that, oh my gosh, am I there? Am I prepared to tackle this or not? You are. It's just a test of your emotional, physical, mental, metal, your strength. Remember, in my Saturn core videos, I've explained this to everybody. Saturn just sadistic is a very bad way of explaining, but in the modern era, that is how people connect the dots with. So I keep on saying he's a sadistic planet, but he's going to test you with what you're capable of. So he's going to give you that stress, that extra push. That see, challenges are coming from all quarters. It's like when you're playing the American football, right? Everybody is attacking you, and you've got to pitch that ball in the right direction as a quarterback. So it's so important. You've got to play like that quarterback if you understand that sport. If not, other analogies are not coming to my mind, but what I'm trying to tell you is this is going to be a period, even if you're smart at something, even if you're good at something, you're going to be tested. Saturn is going to test you that whether or not you have the ability to really deliver on the quality that you promise yourself to the world or to yourself. If you believe that, yes, I'm really good in XYZ subject and I can crack that competitive examination. If you really believe that I'm a hard working person at my job, then are you really that good in terms of delivering the outcome for your team? As a business person, if you're smart enough to do the right thing, both for your employees as well as your customers, your vendors as well as your suppliers, then Saturn is going to test you with that. And you have to turn out gold during this period. So do not be panic stricken, guys. If in these 2.5 years you feel commotion, you feel nothing is panning out, come back and revisit this video. Bookmark it somewhere. Watch this video every one month because nobody is going to inspire you, motivate you the way Dave is doing right now. Remember this, guys. So you will have to remain motivated with this aspect of Saturn coming into your Lagna, into your first house. And then the third aspect of Saturn is coming into your fourth, which is into the sign of Sagittarius. And this is where you could feel the heat in your emotions or as well as your physical self. Even if you're watching this as a Virgo moon, not just as Virgo rising, you could feel that heaviness on you. But the beauty of the Saturn is he is going to help you expand in terms of your knowledge base, not necessarily your degrees, but you are going to equip yourself with more information. You are going to learn new things. It is going to help you to take new measures at your home front. Maybe you might want to buy new furniture, refurnish your house in a much more aesthetic, beautiful way during this period. Maybe you might want to upgrade your house. If your natal chart, Dasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha is giving you right support, you could end up purchasing a property as well, movable, immovable asset. But the higher possibility would be that towards an apartment or house or a property, land, whatever, which is second hand. There's a higher probability you might buy something old. That's a higher possibility. But of course, we need to see the strength of your Saturn in your natal chart with Astvarga, Shadbala. What is the strength of your fourth lord, which is Jupiter in this case? His transit is also going to be crucial because when he comes into the sign of Gemini, he's also going to be expecting it back. So it's going to be a critical aspect for you folks. But that period, along with Saturn's aspect of the fourth, is going to be extremely crucial for you guys to materialize something positive. All right. I hope, guys, you've seen the value of this transit. If you have, you must smash on that like button. Subscribe to Dev Astrology. Not enough of you are subscribing to the channel. The growth has slowed down and I would want it to grow faster. Your support is needed. A lot of you watch the videos but you don't subscribe. So please subscribe to the channel and keep watching. Om Namah Shivaya.